Indulge me. I promise this won't be long. I mean, you see the computer or you see papers, people are like, oh Lord, and he Baptist, he's gonna be up here for hours. I promise you, my wife already, and you already told her, can't be speaking on that.
Go on, take your time. Take your time now.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. But I was just asked by Ms. Green to share a couple of words and just maybe encourage the people with what the Lord's laid on my heart. So I just want to say good evening. I want to thank again Sister Shirley Green and my co-laborer in the gospel ministry, Brother Yvonne Casey, for this opportunity to share with you just for a few minutes this evening as a part of the Whitesboro Preservation Project's community pep rally, because that's what this is. This is a pep rally. And as I prepared for this pep rally this evening, I found myself captured by how appropriately titled this gathering is. A pep rally. Now, we all remember pep rallies from our high school and college days. Schools would come together to show our enthusiastic support for the teams playing that season or before a big game that season. I mean, everyone in the school would come out back in the day. Now, I don't know how it was now, but I know back in the 80s, everybody came out for their pep rallies. And I know you did. My wife tells me about it. And I'm sure that we have some former athletes, cheerleaders, band members, color guard, and pep squad members in the audience right now. I got any former athletes, any cheerleaders, any band members,
Band members.
Come on now, stay with me. I know that food was good, but don't go to sleep on me. And just like our high school pep rallies were designed to show support for our sports teams, this pep rally is designed to show support and raise our level of enthusiasm for the historic community of Whitesboro. Yes. A community that was founded 122 years ago as a planned community for African Americans, which we all know. A community that served as a place of refuge and opportunity for many escaping Jim Crow racism in the Deep South or the local racism of Cape May. As a community that served as an example to the nation of what a community can look like when Black people are afforded the same human rights and opportunities as their white brothers and sisters. Wow. A courtesy that we have to remember that was not extended to the Black residents of Rosewood, Florida, nor Tulsa, Oklahoma. So as we come together this evening to celebrate this community and the spirit of resilience and cooperation that has undergirded its continued existence, we come here with a task that does not simply involve the Whitesboro Historical Preservation Project, the NAACP, the Concerned Citizens of Whitesboro, or I Am My Brother's Keeper. It involves each and every person in Whitesboro and in the surrounding communities. Because Whitesboro's history is not limited to its borders. Yes. It's part of the history of Middle Township. It's part of the history of Cape May County, excuse me. It is a part of New Jersey history and our nation's history. And yes, beloved, it is a part of our African American cultural narrative. Yes. I've been teaching high school history, global studies, world history, African American history for 32 years. I've been a public school teacher. I've been teaching African American history within that 32-year time period for over 20 years. It is a part of our state African American history curriculum. Every year that I have taught African American history, long before I met my wife, fell in love, and got married, I have been teaching about Whitesboro. So there are some people who may not know about Whitesboro, but I can tell you, anybody who took Mr. Moore's African American
Yes. All right. Woo.
And again, it is part of our state history curriculum. We have an African American history curriculum. So yes, it matters, and it must be, our history must be preserved and protected. But the question is, how do we do that as a community? We get encouraged, we get inspired, and then we go home. And we go home, and sometimes when we're home, we don't do anything. And it's not because we don't want to do anything, but sometimes we need to, be given instructions, be given direction on how we move forward, the way forward. So I kind of want to talk about that for a while. Yeah. Because in this time and in this season, we're called to do more. So we could simply say, one thing we should do is support the work of the Whitesboro Historical Preservation Project. Absolutely. But as I said, we're called to do more. So I just want to offer 3 ways that we can be supportive of this organization and how we can be supportive as citizens of this community. Now, y'all already know, we heard about the A&E Church, you heard about the Pentecostal roots, and y'all know I'm a Baptist preacher, so at some point I was going to come with those 3 points, like all Baptist preachers. And those 3 points are pedagogy, presence, and power. My 3 P's, if you will. My first P is pedagogy. And all school teachers know what I'm talking about. Pedagogy refers to the method of how teachers teach in theory and in practice. Pedagogy is informed by an educator's teaching beliefs and concerns, the interplay between culture and different ways to learn. So what I'm saying to you is that one of the best ways for our history to be preserved is for it to be taught. We must ensure that in our social studies classes, generally, and in U.S. history classes specifically, that the history of Whitesboro is being taught. We have a state African American history curriculum that teachers have access to in addition to other resources. We have state mandates, like the Amistad Bill, which became law in 2002 and requires New Jersey schools to incorporate African American history into their social studies curriculum. This legislation also created the Amistad Commission, a 23-member body charged with ensuring that African American history, contributions, and experiences are adequately taught in the state's classrooms. So, with the teaching of Whitesboro's history, it is not a matter of preference, it is a matter of law. All right. And if our history, Whitesboro's history, is not being taught, the Amistad Commission wants to know. I have a friend who works with the Amistad Commission. She says, if you find out that in any school districts that African American history is not being taught, this is what you do. So there are steps.
All right.
And beloved, the tough part of this struggle is that you also must realize that we are in a time and in a season where our history is under attack. According to Education Week, over 40 states have introduced bills or taken other steps that will restrict teaching critical race theory or limit how teachers can discuss racism and sexism.
Wow.
Stay with me. 18 states have imposed these bans and restrictions either through legislation or other avenues. And sadly, New Jersey is one of those states. Wow. State Senator Michael Testa from Cumberland County has introduced Senate Bill 598, which prohibits the teaching of critical race theory in public schools, prohibits public school teachers from engaging in political, ideological, or religious advocacy in the classroom. How can you responsibly, think about this, how can you responsibly discuss any aspect of African American history without discussing race? Exactly. Better question. How can you discuss most aspects of American history without discussing race?
Well,
I'll wait. What you need to understand, beloved, is that those who sponsor anti-critical race theory legislation have perverted the term and use it to label any area of history, ethnic studies, or gender studies that they do not want to be taught. So you have to understand that we have to work to ensure that our history is taught by sometimes speaking up, speaking out, and moving against those who would seek to silence our story.
all right.
And more importantly, it's not just our story, it's America's story.
That's right. Woo!
The second P stands for presence. Presence speaks to more than occupying a space. For instance, you can be a member of a church for 50 years, yet you have never joined one ministry or participated in the life of that church in any way. Sunday after Sunday, you just sit there and do nothing to help the vision and mission of that church move forward. You can do the same thing in your community, beloved. Yes, you pay your bills. Yes, you pay your property taxes. But do you attend township committee meetings? Not just when you are mad about something and it's already too late to do anything, but as a part of your civic right and duty to stay informed about what is taking place in your community.
That's right.
Yeah. You can't say amen, say ouch. I have seen things come to fruition that our township committee was discussing in open forum 2 years ago. But too often we believe that these things are happening in secret when they're not. You just have to go to the meeting. By attending these meetings, we show that we care about how the resources in our community are allocated. Are you registered to vote? Do you vote regularly? Do you vote in local elections regularly? We just had an election on Tuesday. By voting, we actually show that we care about what happens in our community. Who leads our community? We have the right to vote. If we do not exercise that right, we have no right to complain because we are not using our voice, nor are we setting a good example for the next generation. This room is filled with children. How often do we talk about voting? Why don't we treat voting as a rite of passage in our community with our children? When they turn 18, we take them and we register to vote. We let them know that people died so we can vote.
That's you? Woo!
Do you attend school board meetings?
Well,
I can't say that.
School board meetings, everything is discussed from the budget to the curriculum, to the books that are read, or in this season in our country where books are banned. James Baldwin, Toni Morrison, Ta-Nehisi Coates, banned. And if you don't think New Jersey and its school districts are in the crosshairs of those that seek to limit what our children are exposed to, you got another thing coming.
well,
You have to be present. See, beloved, if Whitesboro and its history are going to survive, we can't just be concerned with our families or our churches and our social calendars. We have to be about the business of being critically engaged by maintaining an active presence in our communities.
It's just
And
tired.
finally, my last P is for power. Power can only come when a group of people come together and work together for a common goal. Power can only come when a group of people, as the Bible says, are on one accord. There are no personal agendas. There are no side deals.
Well,
But everyone who comes to this space known as the Whitesboro Historical Preservation Project is committed to the singular mission of preserving Whitesboro's history.
yeah.
Not just in terms of street signs, documents, physical structures, and sacred spaces, though that is imperatively important.
Yes.
But also giving voice to the people who have a connection to the history of Whitesboro, who stand as living witnesses, as the griots, the storytellers in the West African tradition of our community, who will carry the history and mission of our community